told myself I'd leave early, before the night got ideas, or before desire started rewriting intentions into something softer. But time didn't cooperate, it slowed down deliberately, stretching moments until staying felt natural. Staying longer than desire intended, not because it grew louder, but because it learned patience and settled in without urgency. Your presence stopped feeling temporary, somewhere between conversation and silence, where expectation dissolves and comfort begins. I noticed how easily we paused, how neither of us rushed to fill the quiet, letting it hold us instead of escaping it. Desire was there, but it wasn't demanding. It sat quietly like it trusted what was unfolding. Staying longer than desire intended means wanting without chasing, means allowing closeness to exist without an outcome. You lean back slightly and I mirrored the distance, respectful of the balance where attraction remains gentle. The night felt generous, offering us time without questions, as if it knew some connections need space to breathe. I thought about leaving again, about endings, about discipline, but each minute stayed persuasive, softly asking me to remain. Your voice lost its edge, grew warmer, slower, words becoming less necessary, presence becoming the main language. We weren't escalating, we were deepening, which felt more dangerous in a quiet way, more memorable. Staying longer than desire intended is how moments become memories, how restraint turns into myth, how nothing obvious leaves a lasting mark. I realized then that wanting doesn't always push forward, sometimes it lingers, curious about what patience reveals. When I finally stood up, the room felt different, like it noticed something had shifted while we stayed. And even now I think about that night, not for what we did, but for how long we allowed ourselves to remain. Because some nights aren't about crossing lines, they're about standing close to them long enough to feel their warmth. Didn't arrive suddenly, that calm and settled in quietly. After desire finished speaking and left the room, I noticed it in my breathing first, how it slowed like my body understood. Something had already happened without needing proof. The calm after wanting you felt warm, not empty. A softer aftermath where longing stops reaching and starts resting. I sat there alone but not lonely, the night still carrying your impression like a hell no. Wanting had been peaceful it felt to not reach anymore, to allow the feeling to complete itself. Even memory softened, edges dissolving into something gentle or something that didn't ask to be replayed. The night outside continued normally, cars passing, lights blinking, but inside everything felt resolved without explanation. The calm after wanting you taught me something quiet, that not all desire needs fulfillment to feel meaningful. I didn't miss you in the usual way. I appreciated you like a moment that ended correctly. There was no ache, no unfinished sentence, just a slow acceptance, settling comfortably into stillness. I breathed deeply then and felt grounded, as if wanting you would rearrange something, then calm, put it back gently. Now when I think of you, it's without tension, just a soft awareness that you were there at the right time. Because sometimes desire doesn't lead to more, it leads to peace, and that can be just intimate. Your hands move differently at night, slower, like they understood that darkness listens more closely. We didn't look at each other much. The low lights softened in tension, and touch became language before words had time to form. Hands that speak in low light say things, mouths hesitate to questions without pressure, answers without permanence, meaning it without demand. Your fingers paused often, not unsure, just considerate, measuring the moment before continuing. The lamp barely stayed awake, casting shadows that shifted with every small movement, as if the room was translating touch. I noticed how you asked permission without words, how stillness preceded motion, how restraint made everything feel deliberate. Hands that speak in low light carry honesty differently, less performance, more instinct, more instinct. My own hands learn quickly how to respond, not to lead, but to acknowledge what was being offered. The night stayed quiet out of respect, even distant sounds softened, as if aware this conversation was private. Every contact felt intentional, not rushed, not seeking outcome, just present in its own time. There was warmth in the dialogue, he passed carefully like a secret, shared slowly between palms. I realized then how much can be said without voice, how bodies understand what minds overcomplicate. Hands that speak in low light, leave impressed. 'Cause some connections are built quietly, hand by hand in rooms where light is low and listening is deep. We didn't explain ourselves, and nothing demanded we do. The night didn't ask questions, it simply stayed and let us be. There was relief in that, and not having to define what we were doing or why we stayed longer than planned. The room felt permissive, not encouraging, just open like it trusted us to move at our own pace. The night didn't ask questions about intention or outcome, it accepted presence as enough reason to remain. Your expression softened, uncertainty became unnecessary. Shoulders easing, breath deepening like pressure had quietly left. We spoke less as time passed, words lose importance while silence grew articulate, saying things without interrogation. The outside world felt distant, uninterested in us. Cars passed, lights blinked, but none of it intruded on our quiet agreement. The night didn't ask questions, and neither did we. We let curiosity exist without forcing it toward answers. I noticed how calm desire felt when it wasn't evaluated, when it could sit naturally without being measured or justified. Your presence was enough context, no backstory required, just awareness shared between breaths and pauses. Time losing its grip, minutes slipping by unnoticed, as if clocks respected the suspension and chose not to interfere. I thought about tomorrow briefly, then let it go, realizing some moments lose meaning when projected forward. The night didn't ask questions because it already knew. This kind of closeness only survives when left unnamed. When we finally shifted positions, it felt unimportant, nothing dramatic, just movement, acceptance. Even now, I remember that freedom, how it felt to exist without being defined or a sight. Because some connections don't want clarity, they want space and a quiet night that lets them happen. The silence wasn't empty, it was warm, settling between us like it knew we weren't ready to speak. Nothing moved for a while, no bodies, not intention, only thoughts shifting quietly, testing the edges of restraint. Warm silence, dangerous thoughts, the kind that don't announce themselves. They arrive softly, sit comfortably and wait. Your presence made everything quieter, not awkward, just intentional, as if noise would have broken something fragile. I felt ideas forming slow possibilities drifting through my mind without asking permission. Warm silence, dangerous thoughts, men wanting without direction, men awareness without action, a delicate imbalance. You looked at me briefly, then away. A mucho wanted to stand in that. Some glances carry weight. The room held heat, gently, not oppressive, just enough to make stillness feel alive. I could sense your thoughts too, unspoken but present. The way your breathing changed, the way pauses grew slightly longer. We weren't being reckless, we were being patient, which felt more dangerous in a quiet way, harder to undo. The night seemed complicit, lights dim, shadows forgiving, as if it understood that temptation doesn't always need movement. Warm silence, dangerous thoughts, stay balanced carefully. Neither of us tipping the moment into something louder. I imagine breaking the quiet just to feel the shift, but I liked how charged it was, how heavy without being catered. Every second added weight, not pressure, just depth, making the moment harder to forget. Eventually the silence softened, becoming almost kind, as if the thoughts had settled into acceptance instead of action. Even now I remember that tension, how warmth and danger can coexist without collision. Because some nights teach you restraint, not by force, but by showing how powerful stillness can be. Stillness can be. I learned your breathing before I learned your words. The room was barely awake, light leaking like a secret through the edge of the curtain. You didn't move, and I didn't ask you to. We were suspended between intention and accident, like the night forgot to finish us. Your color caught the low light, soft fabric, quiet heat. I stayed there longer than necessary, pretending I was listening to your heartbeat when really I was hiding inside it. There was a velvet silence resting on your collar, not empty, not loud, just full of everything we didn't dare to say. I traced the idea of your shoulder without touching it, learning the shape of restraint, learning how closeness can make without ever asking for more. just warmth and hesitation. I wasn't trying to seduce you, I was trying to stay inside that fragile balance where desire whispers instead of shouting. Your colors smell like night air and something familiar, something that felt like memory, even though I knew we were just beginning. If this was all we had, I told myself I would keep it carefully. This almost touch, this borrowed closeness. Because sometimes love doesn't need to arrive loudly. Sometimes it sits still, wrapped in silence, waiting to be felt. And if you never noticed how close I was, that's okay. I was already holding you in ways that don't leave marks. There is still a velvet silence on your collar every time I close my eyes and let midnight in. You swore me slowly, you didn't. You looked calm, like nothing was happening, like the night hadn't chosen you as his favorite secret to keep. Your face held that still expression, the one that lies convincingly while something restless moves underneath, patient and alive. I could feel it without touching that slow fire under quiet skin. Not urgent, not loud, just burning steadily, like it knew it had time. We didn't rush toward anything, we stayed inside the almost, where tension lives comfortably, where desire stretches without breaking. Your silence wasn't empty, it was intentional, a careful way of holding heat without letting it escape through careless words. I watched the way you swallow like you were containing something, a thought, a want, maybe a memory you didn't want to wake. The room was dim enough to forgive hesitation, shadows softening our edges, giving us permission to stay unfinished. That slow fire under quiet skin kept speaking in temperature, in closeness, in the way your presence leaned toward mine without moving. I wasn't trying to uncover you, I like the restraint, the idea that some things become more intense when they remain hidden. Every breath you took felt deliberate, as if you were measuring how much of yourself to allow into the space. The night held us gently, not pushing, not pulling, just watching like it understood this kind of tension needs silence. I imagined your thoughts moving slowly, circling the same desire again and again without needing resolution. If I touched you then it would have broken the spell, so I stayed still, letting awareness do the work, touching without hands. That fire didn't need ignition, it was already alive, fed by proximity, by patience, by what we chose not to do. And maybe nothing happened in the obvious sense, but something stayed with me after, something warm and deliberate, because I still remember And somehow that's the part that burned the longest. The curtains were already closed before we decided anything. Like the room knew this night wouldn't need privacy. Streetlights faded into fabric. The world softened immediately. Sounds losing their edges. Time slowing down out of courtesy. Curtains closed, hearts open, not dramatically, just gradually, like trust finding its way through small permission. We sat facing each other, nothing between us except air and intention. Both charged but calm, your eyes adjusted to the dark, and so did mine. Learning to see feeling instead of detail, tone instead of shape. I noticed how relaxed you became once the outside disappeared. Shoulders lowering, breath deepening, as if visibility had been a weight. We didn't perform, we existed, letting presence do the work of connection without instruction. Curtains closed, hearts open, felt less like a decision, more like a condition created by a stillness and shared quiet. Your voice softened naturally, finding a slower pace, each word landing carefully like it wanted to stay unspoken. I answered honestly, not fully but enough, choosing sincerity over completeness. The room held warmth gently, no rush, no pressure, just space for emotion to unfold at its own speed. I felt something open in me too, subtle but real, a willingness to be seen differently, not clearly but kindly. We lean closer emotionally without touching, allowing vulnerability to breathe between us. Some connections need enclosure to feel safe, walls, fabric, darkness, working together to protect what's forming. Curtains closed, hearts open, means no witnesses, no expectations, just two interiors sharing air. And when the night deepened further, I knew this moment would stay with me, not for what happened, but for what we allow. Because openness doesn't always arrive loudly. Sometimes it whispers behind drawn curtains, waiting for the right silence to exist. didn't arrive. Suddenly the calm is settled in quietly. After desire finished speaking and left the room, I noticed it in my breathing first, how it slowed like my body understood. Something had already happened without needing proof. The calm after one and you felt warm, not empty. A soft aftermath where longing stops reaching and starts resting. I sat there alone, but not lonely. The night still carrying your impression like I held no warning. Had been intense, but brief, like a wave that knows exactly when to pull back without leaving damage. The room felt balanced again, furniture unmoved, air returning to neutral, as if nothing had shifted except me. The calm after wanting you wasn't resignation, it was clarity, desire stepping aside to let understanding breathe. I thought about your face, I thought urgency without hunger, just recognition of what passed through me. It surprised me how peaceful it felt to not reach anymore, to allow the feeling to complete itself. Even memory softened, edges dissolving into something gentler, something that didn't ask to be replayed. The night outside continued normally, cars passing, lights blinking, but inside everything felt resolved without explanation. The calm after wanting you taught me something quiet, that not all desire needs fulfillment to feel meaningful. I didn't miss you in the usual way, I appreciated you like a moment that ended correctly. There was no wait, no unfinished sentence, just a slow acceptance, settling comfortably into stillness. I breathed deeply then and felt grounded, as if wanting you had rearranged something and calm put it back gently. Now when I think of you, it's without tension, just a soft awareness that you were there at the right time. Because sometimes desire doesn't lead to more, it leads to peace, and that can be just as enough. The night stretched out carefully, like it didn't wanna rush us. Pillows untouched, lights undecided, everything waiting. We lay there fully awake, pretending rest was possible. Bodies close enough to confuse intention with comfort. We almost slept, we softens and exhaustion feels intimate. Without surrender, your eyes closed briefly, then opened again, as if sleep came near but didn't feel invited to stay. The room hummed quietly, a low, patient sound, as if it knew this was a night for restraint. I could feel your warmth through the thin distance, not reaching, not retreating, just present and aware. We almost slept, we almost loved, meaning neither fully happened, but both left impressions on the air and on us. My thoughts slowed down but didn't disappear. They wandered gently between what could happen and what shouldn't. Your breathing changed rhythm, not quite sleep, not quite anticipation. A soft in between that felt deliberate. I wondered what you were thinking, if your mind traced the same paths, or if you were simply there listening to the night do its quiet work. The ceiling washed without comment, shadows unmoving, time suspended, like it respected our hesitation. We almost slept, we almost loved, and somehow that almost felt heavier than certainty ever does. Nothing crossed the line, but everything approached it carefully, curiously, without force. Eventually the night grew deeper and we let the stillness win. Not disappointed, just thoughtful about what we held back. When morning finally arrived, it felt abrupt, like it interrupted something unfinished but intentional. Even now I remember that restraint, that shared awareness, where closeness didn't demand a conclusion, because some nights aren't meant to resolve. They're meant to linger as near misses that stay warm inside you. The silence wasn't empty. It was warm, settling between us, like it knew we weren't ready to speak. Nothing moved for a while, not bodies, not intention, only thoughts shifting quietly, testing the edges of restraint. Warm silence, dangerous thoughts, the kind that don't announce themselves. They arrive softly, sit comfortably, and wait. Your presence made everything quieter, not awkward, just intentional, as if noise would have broken something fragile. I felt ideas forming then away. A mutual understanding that some glances carry weight. The room held heat gently, not oppressive, just enough to make stillness feel alive. I could sense your thoughts too, unspoken but present. The way your breathing changed, the way pauses grew slightly longer. We weren't being reckless, we were being patient, which felt more dangerous in a quiet way, harder to undo. The night seemed complicit, lights dim, shadows forgiven, as if it understood that temptation doesn't always need movement. Silence, dangerous thoughts stayed balanced carefully. Neither of us tipping the moment into something louder. I imagine breaking the quiet just to feel the shift, but I liked how charged it was, how heavy without being chaotic. Every second added weight, not pressure, just depth, making the moment harder to forget. Eventually the silence softened, becoming almost kind, as if the thoughts had settled into acceptance instead of action. Even now I remember that tension, how warmth and danger can coexist without collision. Because some nights teach you restraint, not by force, but by showing how powerful stillness can be. They didn't arrive together. Love came first, quiet, observant, sitting down gently, as if it planned to stay. Lust followed later, unannounced, not demanding, just curious about the space love created. Love and lust breathing slowly, not competing, not tangled, just coexisting in the same soft rhythm. The room felt calm enough to hold both. No urgency in the air, no expectation that one had to win. I noticed how my body reacted without rushing, breath deepening, heartbeat evening out, as if alignment mattered more than impulse. Love watched carefully, patient and warm, while lust stay low, a subtle heat that didn't need ignition. Love and lust breathing slowly, felt adult, felt honest, like desire had learned how to listen. You were there quietly, not performing either role, just present, letting me feel without directing it. There was no internal was experiencing only an awareness that both emotions felt real. The night seemed designed for this balance. Lights dim, sound soft, and everything moving at half speed, out of respect for complexity. Love leaned toward memory, toward meaning, while lust stayed physical, close to breathing proximity, but neither pulled away. Love and lust breathing slowly created a kind of peace where wanting didn't disturb and caring didn't restrain either one. I felt grounded, not conflicted, as if the body and the heart had finally agreed to share space. Nothing escalated, nothing needed to the intensity lived in restraint and mutual awareness. When the moment passed, it did so gently, without residue, without hunger, only a quiet completeness. Even now I think of that balance, how rare it is to feel both without tension. Because when love and lust breathe slowly, they don't consume you, they sit beside you, warm and steady through the night. The room is dim, like the night decided to stay a little longer inside these walls. A quiet lamp breathing gold over the edge of your shoulder, soft light resting on your skin, like it knows this moment should not be rushed. You're closer than conversation, closer than reason. And suddenly, language feels too loud for the space between us, so we let silence speak instead. Your breath reaches me first, warm, unsteady, careful, like it's asking permission across the small universe between your mouth and mine. And I feel it, not on my lips yet, but somewhere deeper where anticipation lives, where time slows down just enough for every heartbeat to feel like a decision. You toward mine, almost there, almost, and the world holds its breath with us. I close my eyes, not because the moment is ending, but because some things are felt better in the dark, where every sound slows and every inhale belongs to both of us. Now I breathe in changes quietly, gently, to separate rhythms, learning how to become one long shed night. It started with nothing, just the quiet weight of the night resting softly over the room. The lights were low, barely breathing, a faint glow spilling across the floor like tired moonlight. You were standing close, not close enough to touch, but close enough for the air between us to feel different. I remember the stillness first, the kind that arrives when two people suddenly realize how small distance has become. Your eyes lifted slowly, finding mine, then holding longer than conversation usually allows. And in that silence, something fragile began to grow. You stepped a little closer, not bold, not rushed, just a quiet movement, like gravity decided to lean in our direction. Now the room feels smaller, the walls softer, the night thicker, as if everything around us is gently closing in. Your breath reaches me, warm, careful, brushing the edge of my cheek before drifting lower. And suddenly that small, invisible space between our lips becomes the most powerful place in the world. You tilt your head slightly, watching me, like you're asking a question without words. My hand lifts slowly, resting against your shoulder, light enough to disappear if either of us changes our mind, but neither of us does. Your eyes close halfway, not completely, just enough to feel the moment before it happens. The room grows quieter, so quiet I can hear the rhythm of your breathing, moving in slow waves, and somehow mine follows. Two breaths meeting in the fragile distance, our lips almost cross. Time stretches longer than it should, holding the moment and want it to end. Your forehead brushes mine softly, and for a second the world disappears. There is only warmth and breath, and the quiet gravity of almost. Your lips move closer, barely a small shift, but enough to make everything feel electric. And in that tiny space, the one our lips almost cross, we stay just a little longer, because sometimes the most powerful moment is not the kiss, it's the second before it, where everything is suspended between desire and surrender. And the night holds its breath with us. Midnight arrived quietly, no announcement, no sound, just the slow dimming of the world outside. The streetlights glow softly through the window, casting pale reflection across the floor. Thin lines of light stretching through the room, like the night itself is reaching inward. You're sitting beside me on the couch, not far, not close enough to call it something. Just two people sharing a quiet hour. The clock somewhere in the apartment ticks slowly, each second falling gently into the silence. But even time seems hesitant tonight. Your hand rests on the cushion between us, palm relaxed, fingers loose, like it simply arrived there without intention. My hand rests nearby, not touching, just close enough for the warmth to exist. It's strange how such a small space can feel so full, like something invisible is standing there between our hands, watching, waiting. You glance down once, then quickly look away, as if the distance itself is too revealing. Outside, a distant car passes, its headlights briefly painting the ceiling, then fading like a slow breath. The room returns to its quiet glow. My finger shifts slightly, barely noticeable, but enough for the air to change. And suddenly midnight feels heavier. Your hand moves not toward mine, not away, just a subtle adjustment, like you're testing whether the moment is real. Now our hands are closer, close enough that the warmth travels between them without permission. conversation. Time pauses there, right in that fragile space between your fingers and mine. Neither of us rushes it, because the night is teaching us something, that closeness doesn't always begin with touch. Sometimes it begins with hesitation, with the quiet electricity of almost. Your thumb moves slightly, a small nervous motion, and finally the edge of your hand brushes mine so softly it could have been the night itself. But neither of us pulls away. Instead, our hands remain there, resting side by side, the warmth spreading slowly through skin, through silence. Silence at midnight, that quiet hour, that patient witness seems to pause right there between our hands, as if the entire night is waiting to see what happens next. Night is quiet in that fragile way, when even small movements feel louder than they should. The window is open slightly, cool air drifting in, carrying the distant hum of a sleeping city. And somehow in the middle of this stillness, we ended up here, standing closer than neither of us planned. The lamp behind you glows softly, turning your outline into something warm, something almost unreal. Your shadow stretches gently along the wall, but your eyes stay fixed on mine. There's something dangerous about closeness like this. Not loud danger, not reckless, just the kind that makes your breathing change. You step forward slowly until the distance between our faces shrinks. Not much, just enough for the world to shift. Now your eyes are 1 inch from mine, and suddenly the rest of the room doesn't matter. I can see the quiet parts moving behind your gaze, tiny reflections of light, soft darkness around your pupils. It feels like looking into a place that doesn't belong to anyone else. Neither of us speaks, words would feel too heavy, too sharp for a moment. This delicate, your breast touches my lips, warm, unsteady, like it's unsure whether to stay. My own breathing slows, matching yours without trying. Your eyes soften, not closing, not yet, just watching. Story in the quiet tension, living in the space between us. A strand of your hair moves slightly, brushed by the air, and without thinking my fingers lift a pose halfway, as if the night itself is asking, are you sure? But you don't move away, your eyes remain exactly there, 1 inch from mine, holding something gentle, dangerous, and strangely calm. The room feels warmer now, not from the lamp, not from the night, from the quiet gravity pulling us closer. Your forehead tilts slightly toward mine, the movement just small, almost invisible, but the moment expands, and for a second, longer than it should be, we stay like this, 2 breaths, 2 heartbeats, 2 quiet worlds suspended with your eyes, 1 inch from mine, where every emotion, every hesitation, every unspoken thought can be seen clearly in the silence between us. The night has grown deep, the kind of hour when the world outside feels distant, like a memory happening somewhere else. Inside the room, everything moves slower. The lamp beside the bed, breathing a soft amber glow, casting long shadows that drift quietly along the walls. You're standing across from me, not far, but far enough to remind me that distance is still real. Your eyes wander slowly around the room, pretending this moment is ordinary, but something in the air says otherwise. There's a pull tonight, invisible, quiet, but impossible to ignore. Like gravity, softly rearranging the space between us. You take a step, not toward me, just slightly closer. The kind of movement that could be explained 1,000 ways, but the room knows what it means. I feel it instantly, that shift, that quiet weight, pressing gently against my chest. Your presence has always done this, changed the way the air feels, changed the way time moves. Another step, now the distance feels thinner, the silence between us heavier, like something unseen is pulling us together. Your eyes finally meet mine and hold there, not boldly, not shyly, just honestly. without a single touch. Just breathing, just standing, just existing in the same quiet gravity. My hand rests against the table, yours against the back of a chair. But even without movement, our bodies know the pull is getting stronger. Your breathing slows, mine follows to quiet rhythm, adjusting to the same invisible force. You step closer again. Now I can feel the warmth moving through the air. Your presence reaching me before your hands ever could. There's something powerful about the nearness of someone who understands how silence works. Your voice lowers, almost disappearing. Why does it feel like this? I don't answer right away, because the truth is difficult to say aloud. Some people arrive in your life like gravity, quiet, constant, impossible to resist. You step closer once more. Now the distance is barely there, and suddenly the night feels smaller, the room softer, the moment heavier. Your shoulder nearly touches mine. You're breathing warm against the side of my face, and in that quiet second, standing inside the gravity of your nearness, I realize some forces don't need movement, they simply exist, pulling two hearts slowly, inevitably closer, until the night no longer remembers what distance felt like. The night is warm, not loudly warm, not summer bright, but the slow, quiet warmth that lingers in a room long after the lights are dim. The window is slightly open, curtains breathing gently with the midnight air, moving in slow waves like the room itself is exhaling. You're standing close to me, close enough to feel the warmth that bodies carry without trying. But we're not touching, not yet. There's something fragile about this moment, a balance between distance and surrender. Your eyes drift toward my lips and quickly away, like you caught yourself thinking something you didn't mean to reveal. The silence deepens, not empty, just full of hesitation and quiet questions. I take a small step closer, not enough to break the distance, just enough to make the air warmer. You notice, I see it in the way your breathing changes, slower, deeper. Now the space between us feels alive, like something invisible is waiting there. Something patient, something dangerous. Your hand lifts slightly, then stops, hovering between certainty and restraint. The lamp behind you casts a soft glow, turning your shadow into something silence, our noses almost meet, our lips just a breath apart, and the moment expands longer than time should allow. Your eyes close halfway, mine follow, and suddenly everything feels suspended. The night outside disappears, the room dissolves, all that remains is warmth, breath, and the quiet electricity living inside this distance. The heat of almost, your fingers brush my wrist so softly, the touch barely exists, but the warmth spreads through skin, through breath, through the fragile calm, holding us still. And for a moment we stay there, right at the edge where nothing has happened yet, but everything is already waiting inside the space between us. The lamp is breathing low tonight, a tired amber glow spilling softly across the floor, like honey moving through the dark. The room is quiet, but not empty, not with you here. You're standing near the window where the night gathers around your shoulders, and the wind outside presses gently against the glass like it's curious about what we're becoming in here. Your shadow stretches slowly across my bedroom wall, long, soft, uncertain, like a story the light is trying to remember. I watch it move when you shift your weight, when your fingers brush your hair back, when you turn slightly toward me. The shadow moves first, you follow after, and somehow that small delay feels like a secret. I don't say anything because words feel loud tonight, and the space between us is already filled with quieter things. Your The room is dim tonight, not dark, just quiet enough for the light to feel tired. The lamp beside the bed glows like it's thinking about sleep. Soft amber, barely holding the edges of the room together. And somewhere in that fragile glow, you're sitting there, half shadow, half warmth, like something the night created and forgot to take back. The world outside is faded, no voices, no passing cars, just the distant hum of electricity in the walls, and the small silence between your breath and mine. The light flickers once, not enough to scare the dark, just enough to make the shadows move. Your face disappears for a second, then returns closer than before. And suddenly it feels like the room is holding its breath, like the lamp itself is watching, waiting, trying not to disturb whatever is slowly unfolding here. You lean back against the wall. The light traces the curve of your shoulder, the line of your neck, the quiet shape of your hands. Everything looks softer, like the glow has forgotten how to be sharp. I move slightly closer, not enough to break the silence, just enough to feel the warmth of the air shift. The lamp flickers again, slower this time, as if the light itself is growing tired of breathing. And the room begins to blur, edges melting into shadows, your outline drifting into mine across the sheets. Two shapes moving slowly inside the quiet pulse of the night. The glow grows lower, gentler, like the light is falling asleep. And with every second, the distance between us feels less real, less necessary. Your fingers rest beside mine, not touching but close enough that the warmth travels anyway, through the quiet space between skin, through the still air, through the moment where hesitation dissolves. The lamp flickers one last time, then steadies, but something has changed. The light no longer feels awake, it's softer now, dreaming, as if it has forgotten how to breathe. And maybe that's why the room feels warmer, the silence deeper, your presence closer. Because when the lights forget to breathe, the night finally learns how to hold us. The night settled quietly night, like a blanket no one placed, but somehow found us anyway. The room is darker than before, not empty, just full of soft shadows resting in the corners. The window is open a little, and the air carries that light city seems too tired to speak. You're near the door now, not leaving yet. Just standing in that quiet space between staying and something else. The hallway light spills in behind you, drawing a long shape across the floor. Your shadow reaches me first, slow, silent, like it's asking the question neither of us says out loud. Your hand rests on the door frame, fingers still, but I know that stillness, it's the kind that hides a decision, the kind that appears right before a goodbye. I look around the room at the sheets still warm, at the half-empty glass on the table, at the curtain moving slowly with the breath of the night. Everything feels suspended, like the room itself doesn't want this moment to move forward. You glance back once, not long, just enough, and in that small look the whole night gathers again. Every quiet second, every breath, every word we chose not to say lingers between us, soft, unfinished. If you leave the night here, leave the warmth that settled into the sheets, leave the quiet glow still resting on the walls, leave the silence that learned the shape of us. Because the night knows things now. It knows the rhythm of your breathing, it knows the sound of your steps, it knows the invisible space where you sat beside me. If you take the night with you, the room will forget. The shadows will grow cold again, the air will lose its softness, and the quiet will feel empty instead of full. You shift slightly, the floor creaks beneath your weight, and for a moment it feels like time itself is listening, waiting to see which direction your body will lean toward the door or back toward the bed. I don't ask you to stay. Some things lose their magic the moment they are forced, but the night is patient. It lingers around your shoulders like it belongs to you now. So if you walk away, take your footsteps, take the sound of the door, take the echo of the hallway light, but leave the night here. Let it stay in this room where your warmth touched the air, where your shadow rested beside mine, where for a few quiet hours the dark felt like home. Felt like home. The night feels heavier tonight, not in a way that weighs on the chest, but in the way quiet rooms do when someone else is inside them. Someone who changes the air without saying anything. The curtains barely move, the window is closed, yet the darkness still finds a way in. Pulling slowly across the floor, climbing the walls, settling gently around the bed. You're sitting there at the far side of the room, leaning back against the wall, knees drawn slightly in, your eyes wandering through the dim light, like they're searching for something that doesn't have a name yet. The lamp beside you glows low, soft enough that the shadows feel calm. Your presence moves through the room, not loudly, not like footsteps, more like gravity. Something invisible, something constant, something the body notices before the mind does. I feel it when you shift your weight, when your shoulder brushes the wall, when your breathing slows and the silence grows deeper. You haven't touched me, not once tonight, and yet something keeps pulling me closer, not physically, not yet, but somewhere beneath the skin, like the night itself is tilted slightly toward where you are. You look up for a moment, our eyes meet and the room seems to pause. The lamp hums quietly like it understands something. The air between us feels warmer now, denser, as if the quiet itself has thickened. I stand slowly, not rushing the moment, because whatever this is, it moves best at the speed of breath. One step closer, the floor barely whispers. Another step, and the gravity deepens. Your presence surrounds the space like an invisible tide, pulling softly, patiently, until the distance between us begins to dissolve. You don't move, you just watch, your eyes calm, your expression unreadable, but the warmth in the room tells a different story. Now I'm close enough to feel the quiet of your breathing, close enough to notice the way your fingers rest against the mattress that lasts, waiting. Your presence doesn't ask for anything, it doesn't rush, it doesn't demand, it simply exists, and somehow that existence changes everything, because the closer I stand. The clearer it becomes that the night itself has shifted, bent gently around you, around the warmth of your body, around the quiet rhythm of your breath. And now, standing here inside that slow pull, I understand. Some people enter a room and everything stays the same, but you carry a soft gravity, the kind that moves the air, the kind that slows the night, the kind that makes the heart lean closer the shifting of fabric, the breath between words, the soft movement of your hand across the edge of the bed. The lamp is dim tonight. A slow amber glow floating through the room, not bright enough to reveal everything, just enough to keep the darkness curious. You're sitting close now, closer than before, your knee almost touching mine. The distance between us measured in inches, but it feels larger because neither of us moves too quickly. There's a kind of tension living in the air, not sharp, not heavy, just warm like the first spark inside a quiet flame. Your hand rests beside mine, palm down, fingers relaxed, and I notice the small details, the way your fingertips move without meaning to, the way your thumb shifts slightly against the blanket, the way the warmth of your skin travels through the air before contact even happens. I wonder if you feel it too. A strange fire that doesn't need touch, not yet. Your fingers drift closer, slow, careful, like someone approaching water in the dark, testing the temperature before stepping in. The space between our hands becomes fragile, a thin invisible thread holding the moment together. I can feel the warmth now, the quiet electricity that lives just before contact, the place where hesitation and desire share the same breath. Your fingers hover barely above mine, not touching but close enough to change the rhythm of the entire room. The silence grows deeper, like the night itself is leaning closer, watching, waiting. Your hand shifts again, and for a second your fingertips brush mine, soft gentle, or maybe not. The contact disappears quickly, but the warmth stays, spreading slowly through the quiet, like a small fire learning how to breathe. Neither of us moves away, neither of us rushes forward, because the beauty of this moment lives right here, in the space between, in the slow burn of almost, in the way the night stretches around two hands that are learning very slowly how close they wanna be. The night is softer now, like it settled deeper into the room. The window is open, just enough for the cool air to drift slowly across the bed. Curtains moving like quiet waves, and somewhere beyond the glass the city sleeps. You're closer tonight, closer than before. Your shoulder near mine, your warm pressing gently inside the space between us, we don't say anything. The silence feels too perfect to interrupt. You're breathing in slow, calm. The kind of rhythm that makes the room feel steady. I can hear it clearly now. Each inhale, each soft release, like the tide of a quiet sea. I turn slightly towards you and the distance shortens just a little. Enough for the air to change, enough for the night to notice your face is near mine now. Not touching, just close, close enough that the warmth of your breath finds my skin soft, almost weightless, but real, so real that every small exhale feels like a secret. Your breath brushes my lips, then fades and returns again. A quiet rhythm, two breaths, learning the same pace. My breathing slows without thinking, matching yours. Inhale, exhale, and somewhere in the shared rhythm the world disappears. There is no room anymore. No walls, no distant city, just a small space of air where your breath meets mine. Your eyes open slowly, the moonlight catches them. Soft silver reflections floating in the dark. You don't move away, neither do I, because the moment is fragile. The kind that breaks if touched too quickly. Your breath moves across my cheek, warm, patient. Your lips part slightly. Another quiet inhale, and suddenly the distance between us feels impossibly thin. Like the night itself is holding us there, suspended inside the shared air, where two breaths circle each other slowly, gently, where the warmth of you touches the warmth of me. Without urgency, without words, just presence, just closeness, just the quiet place where your breath finally learns. The rhythm of mine. Open just enough for the night to slip inside. A silver hush pours across the floor, climbing slowly over the bed where we lie awake, pretending not to feel how close we are. The curtains sway like a slow breath. The air smells faintly of rain and something warmer, something that feels like you. Moonlight tangled in silk sheets, caught between our legs, woven into the quiet folds where your body meets mine. Without quite touching, you're on your back, eyes reflecting pale light, lashes casting delicate shadows against your skin. I trace one with my thumb, barely there, just enough to make you inhale deeper. We don't speak, words would feel too heavy here. Everything tonight is made of lighter things. Breath, skin, the soft slide of pushes mine, an accident we don't correct. Your fingers find my wrist under the covers, cool at first, then warming as they curl gently. There's a tenderness in the way you pull me closer, not urgent, not impatient, just certain the light catches in your eyes when you look at me like that, soft, open, almost vulnerable. Moonlight tangled in silk sheets, watching as my hand moves along your side, memorizing the subtle curve beneath my palm. Your breath falters when I reach your waist, not startled, just aware. I lean in slowly, my lips brushing yours with the faintest pressure. A question shaped in silence, you answer by deepening it. The kiss unfolds like a quiet confession, unhurried, deliberate, warm. The silk shifts beneath us, cool against heated skin. I slide my hand upward, feeling the steady rhythm of your heartbeat against my fingertips. Moonlight tangled in silk sheets, blurring the edges of where I end and you begin. You pull me on top of you gently, hands at my back, fingers pressing like you're afraid I might dissolve. Our movements are slow, guided by breath more than thought. I press my forehead to yours, noses brushing, sharing the same thin line of air. You smile faintly, not playful, just soft. The room glows, silver and shadow. Your skin looks almost unreal under the pale light, like something sculpted out of quiet. Ooh, moonlight tangled in silk sheets, spilling over our shoulders, resting along our spines as we shift together in a rhythm too gentle to disturb the night. Your lips drift to my neck, when they're relieving warmth in slow trails. I close my eyes and let the sensation bloom steady and deep. There's no rush, no need to prove anything, just a slow unraveling of restraint. The silk gathers around us, cool and smooth, a contrast to the heat building between our bodies. Moonlight tangled in silk sheets, wrapping around our thighs, hiding the places where our closeness becomes undeniable. Your hands move carefully, exploring like you're tracing a familiar melody at a softer tempo. I exhale your name against your skin, it feels different here, quieter, more honest. You hold me tighter when I say it, the night deepens, the silver light fades into something softer, more blue. Our movement slow, further, not from distance but from depth, every touch sinking in instead of skimming the surface. Moonlight tangled in silk sheets, now warm from our bodies, creased and folded like evidence of something gentle and real. When we finally still, you keep your hands on me as if letting go would break the spell. I rest my head against your chest, listening to the steady go of your heart. As my willing silk sheets wrapping around our thighs, hiding the places where our closeness becomes undeniable. Your hands move carefully, exploring like you're tracing a familiar melody at a softer tempo. I exhale your name against your skin, it feels different here, harder, more honest. You hold me tighter when I say it, the night deepens, the silver light fades into something softer, more blue. Our movement is slow, further moving bends slow, not from distance but from depth, every touch There's a silence that only exists when the lights are low and the world has stopped asking questions. Lives here in the dim outline of your body, beneath a thin blue glow of almost morning. You're lying beside me, close enough that I can feel the warmth radiating from your skin, but not touching yet, not yet. The space between your breaths is where I get lost. Inhale, your chest rises slowly like the tide gathering in cell. Exhale, a soft surrender into the sheets, into the quiet, into me. I turn towards you carefully, afraid to disturb the fragile rhythm we fall into. Your eyes are half closed, lashes casting faint shadows against your cheek. There's something undone about you, something honest. The space between your breasts stretches like silk, pulled tight, thin and trembling with anticipation. My fingers drift across the mattress, tracing invisible lines towards your hand. When they finally brush, you don't pull away. You're just breathing deeper this time. I let my palm rest over your heart, feeling the steady pulse beneath warm skin. It answers my touch without hesitation. Your lips part slightly, not to speak, just to let the air move through you more slowly. The space between your breaths becomes smaller now, filled with the warmth of shared air. I lean closer, my forehead brushing yours. Our noses grazing softly, we hover there, barely touching, as if even the smallest movement might break something sacred. Inhale, exhale, your breath spills against my mouth, mine answers back. It's not a kiss yet, just proximity, just the quiet awareness of how easily this could become something more. The space between your breasts is where restraint lives and tension gathers without asking permission. My hand slides along your waist, slow enough to feel the subtle shift of muscle beneath skin. You arch toward me almost imperceptibly. That's when I kiss you, soft, measured, unrushed. You respond in increments, a gentle press, a deeper exhale, fingers curling into my shoulder as if grounding yourself. The room feels smaller now, warmer. The air thickens with something unspoken. The space between your breasts disappears as our mouths move together, slow and searching. No urgency, no performance, just a steady unfolding of closeness. Your hand drifts down my back, tracing a line that sends a quiet shiver through my spine. I feel your breath change, slightly heavier, slightly less controlled. Inhale, exhale, but now stars aligning like they've been waiting all day for this exact angle of closeness. The sheets tangle around our legs, cool against heated skin. You press your forehead to mine, eyes closed as if focusing only on the rhythm we've created. The space between your breasts turns into the sound of your name whispered against my lips. You answer by holding me tighter, not desperate, just certain. Our movement slow again, not from distance but from depth. Every touch sinks in instead of skimming the surface. I feel the rise of your chest against mine, the steady beat of your heart matching my own. Inhale, exhale, the night seems to lean in closer, listening. Your fingers trace circles on my arm, gentle, repetitive, grounding us in the present. The space between your breasts is no longer empty, it's filled with warmth, for shared air, with the quiet understanding that this moment doesn't need a future to be real. We slow until we're almost still, lips brushing occasionally, foreheads touching, breathing the same thin line of oxygen. Outside, the faintest hint of dawn begins to soften the darkness, but we stay here, suspended. Because sometimes the most intimate thing is not the touch, not the kiss, not even the closeness. It's the pause, a fragile, trembling pause between inhale and exhale. The space between your breasts, where I learn the rhythm of you, where how gently two bodies can exist without breaking the quiet. And as we lie there, still wrapped in warmth, breathing together like we've practiced it for years. I realize I don't wanna rush to the next moment. Wanna stay right here in the space between your breaths. The night feels fragile tonight, like glass cooled too quickly, ready to fracture if we speak too loud so we don't. You're sitting at the edge of the bed, moonlight outlining your shoulders, your back turned slightly as if you're deciding whether to stay or disappear into the dark hallway. I cross the room slowly, bare feet against cool wood, every step deliberate. When my hands reach you, they don't hold you tight, they hover, fingertips like fading echoes, barely touching your spine, soft as something remembered more than something real. You inhale, slow, uncertain, lean back just enough to close the distance. That's all it takes. My fingers trace the curve between your shoulder blades, down the center of your back, pausing where your breath falters. You don't look at me yet, you let the silence grow. Fingertips like fading echoes, lingering where your skin remembers being touched even after I lift my hand. There's something tender about the way you tremble, not from cold, but from the weight of unspoken things. I kneel behind you, pressing my lips softly against your shoulder. Not a claim, not a demand, just presence. Your head tilts slightly, giving me access chest, down the length of your arm until our fingers intertwine. Fingertips like fading echoes, curling into yours as if trying to hold onto a moment that refuses to stay still. You finally turn to face me. Your eyes are softer now, less guarded. The room is dim, washed in silver and shadow. I can barely see your expression, but I feel it. I cup your jaw gently, my thumb grazes your lower lip. You part it slightly, breath warming my skin. The kiss begins slowly, almost hesitant, like we're relearning how to move together. No rush, no urgency, just lips brushing, pulling away, coming back a little deeper each time. Fingertips like fading echoes, traveling across your waist, resting at your hips as if unsure how long they're allowed to stay. You guide my hands without words, subtle pressure, a quiet shift of your body. The bed welcomes us back, sheets cool beneath heated skin. You lie down slowly, eyes never leaving mine. I follow, my hand moves along your side, memorizing the slope of you in the half-light. You exhale softly when my fingers trace the sensitive line of your ribs. Fingertips like fading echoes, circling your pulse points, leaving warmth that lingers longer than contact. Your hands respond, one sliding up my neck, the other resting against my back, pulling me closer without force. Our bodies align naturally, like gravity knew this would happen. The kiss deepens, still slow, still careful, but heavier now. Breaths mix, hearts beat closer. I drag my fingertips down your arm again, slower this time, as if trying to stretch the moment. You shiver gently beneath me, not fragile, just open. Fingertips like fading echoes, moving lower, then returning, never rushing. The quiet heat building between us. Your lips brush my jaw, my collarbone, pausing in places that make my breath hitch. We move together in a rhythm that feels half memory, half discovery. No bright lights, no loud sounds, just the soft friction of skin, the whisper of fabric shifting, the delicate sound of your breathing changing. Fingertips like fading echoes, mapping every action, learning how you soften under steady touch. When we finally slow, it isn't because the desire fades, it's because it settles deep. We lie tangled, foreheads touching, breathing gradually evening out. My hand continues to trace lazy lines across your shoulder, light enough to almost disappear. You close your eyes, and when my touch lifts, your skin still remembers. Fingertips like fading echoes, present even in the highest sun. Touches don't need to last, linger, they're not quiet, they just need to be felt deep enough to echo. Dim the lamp until the room forgets its corners. Let the shadows stretch long and thin across the floor, climbing the walls like they're listening. You close the door without a sound. The click feels heavier than it should. Now intentional. Low light, lower voices. That's how this begins. You sit beside me on the edge of the bed, close enough for our thighs to touch, far enough to pretend it's accidental. The air feels warmer tonight, or maybe it's just you. I turn slightly, my knee brushing yours again, this time on purpose. You glance at me, eyes darker in the amber glow. Your voice drops when you speak, barely above a whisper. Low light, lower voices, words melting before they reach the ceiling, falling softly between our mouths. I answer quietly, leaning in closer than necessary, close enough to feel the shape of each syllable as it leaves your lips. Your hand rests on the mattress just behind me, not touching, but close enough to shift the gravity of the room. There's something slow building here, not fire, not lightning, more like a pulse beneath the surface. Low light, low voices, breath shared in fragments, because touch keeps interrupting. Your fingers finally find my waist, hesitant at first and firmer when I don't pull away. I exhale softly, you notice. Your mouth drifts closer to mine, but instead of kissing, you whisper something I can't quite hear. Say it again, I murmur. You lean closer, your lips brush my ear. This time I feel the words more than I understand them. Lower voices, confessions made of breath instead of sighs. I turn towards you slowly, our knees separate only so our bodies can align. My hand slides up your chest, pausing at your collarbone. I don't say it right away. I let it rest there, your name hidden behind closed lips, warm, waiting. The room is dark except for a thin line of light slipping through the curtains, cutting the bed in half. You're lying beside me, eyes half open, watching like you already know what I'm holding back. Your name under my tongue feels heavier than it should. Not a word, more like a secret that tastes like midnight. You trace slow circles against my wrist, absent-minded but intentional. Each touch a quiet reminder that you're here, that this is real. I lean closer, letting my lips hover just above your shoulder. I could say it now, but I don't. Your breath shifts when my mind brushes your skin, a soft reaction, barely audible, but enough. Your name under my tongue burns softly, like a candle that doesn't flicker, just glows. I kiss my way upward along your collarbone to the curve of your neck, slow, measured, as if I'm spelling something without sound. Your fingers slide into my hair, not pulling, just anchoring. The bed creaks faintly as I move above you. The light catches in your eyes, turning them darker. Say it, you whisper, but you don't mean out loud. Your name under my tongue finally slips free, not spoken boldly, but breathed against your mouth. It dissolves between us the second I kiss you, deeper this time, less careful, still slow. You answer with a low exhale, hands pressing against my back, drawing me closer until there's no space left for doubt. The sheets twist around our legs, your body arches subtly beneath my touch. I say your name again, softer, letting it fall against your jaw, your throat, where your pulse betrays you. Your name under my tongue changes the air in the room and makes everything more intimate, more deliberate, like calling something into existence. Your lips move to my neck, whispering my name back, not as a statement, but as a plea. We move together slowly, guided by breath instead of thought. My hands explore your waist, your ribs, memorizing the shape of you, like I'm afraid the night might steal it away. Your name under my tongue turns into a rhythm, spoken between kisses, between pauses, between the quiet sounds you can't hold in. I press my forehead to yours, our breathing tangles. The world outside disappears, no cars, no distant sirens, just the soft hum of two hearts beating too close to ignore. I drag my lips down your chest, taking my time, letting every inch feel intentional. You tremble slightly, not from cold, but from the weight of being seen this closely. Your name under my tongue turns into a rhythm, spoken between kisses, between pauses, between the quiet sounds you can't hold in. I press my forehead to yours, our breathing tangles. The world outside disappears, no cars, no distant sirens, just the soft hum of two hearts beating too close to ignore. I drag my lips down your chest, taking my time, letting every inch feel intentional. You tremble slightly, not from cold, but from the weight of being seen this closely. Your name under my tongue turns into a whisper against your ear, a vibration you feel more than here. We move as one, slow motion, heat building steadily beneath restraint. No rush, no sharp edges, It's just the steady unraveling of distance when we finally slow and our bodies settle into warmth and quiet. I rest my mouth against your collarbone. Your breathing steadies gradually, fingers tracing idle patterns alarm my spine. I say your name once more, barely audible, a final exhale into your skin. Your name under my tongue lingers even after the sound fades. It stays there, warm, familiar, alive. And in the hush that follows, with the night wrapped around us and your arms holding me close, I realize some names aren't meant to be shouted. They're meant to be tasted slowly in the dark. Oh, your name under my tongue. I don't say it right away. 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 I don't say it right out. Say it. I don't say it right. Don't turn on the light. Let the room stay half warm. Edges blur like something we're not ready to define. You're standing close, close enough that I can feel the warmth of you before your hands even touch me. Outside, the night presses softly against the window. No noise, no interruption, just this. Hold me like a secret, like something you're not ready to explain to the daylight. Your fingers slide along my wrist, slow, as if testing whether I'm real or just another late night illusion. I step closer. Now our chests almost meet. Your breath lands softly against my collarbone. You don't rush it, you never do. Hold me like a secret, like if you grip too tight I might turn into smoke. Your hands find my waist, pulling me in with a kind of quiet urgency that doesn't need volume. I feel it in the way your fingers press, not possessive, just protective, like you want this to stay between us. The first kiss is restrained, gentle, careful, almost shy, but it lingers. Your lips soften against mine, and something shifts, a subtle unraveling of the tension we've been carrying all evening. Hold me like a secret, whisper my name like it's something fragile that could break if spoken too loudly. You move me backwards slowly until the bed meets the back of my knees. I sink down and you follow. The room feels warmer now. Your hands explore carefully, learning the rhythm of my breathing, the way my body responds to slow touch. I slide my fingers under your shirt, feeling the steady rise and fall of your chest. You exhale deeper, hold me like a secret, like this moment isn't meant for anyone else's memory. Your mouth drifts along my jaw, down to my neck, pausing in places that make my pulse quicken. I tilt my head slightly, not surrender, just invitation. You take your time, no rush, no sharp edges, just a steady warmth of skin against skin in a room that feels sealed from the world. Hold me like a secret, like the way you're touching me is something you'll replay in silence later. I pull you closer, our bodies aligning naturally, like gravity has chosen sides. The lamp in the corner hums faintly, casting amber shadows across your shoulders. Your hands slide along my back, fingers tracing slow lines that leave quiet heat behind. I press my forehead to yours, our breaths mix, your eyes close. Hold me like a secret, not because you're ashamed, but because this kind of closeness feels sacred. Your lips return to mine, deeper now, more certain. The kiss stretches slow, heavy, intentional. I feel your hands tighten slightly at my waist, like you're afraid the night might steal me away. It won't. The sheets shift beneath us as we move together in a rhythm that doesn't need words. Your mouth finds my shoulder, leaving warmth in its wake. My fingers curl into your hair, holding you there a second longer. Hold me like a secret, like if the world knew how gently you can touch, it would never see you the same. We slow eventually, not because the desire fades, but because it settles deeper. Your head rests against my chest, my hands trace lazy patterns along your spine.